Hi, Rod, just checking in for our week 7, and you're doing your responses for the discussion board 3 topic you did last week during this week. So respond to one another using one another's post on the topic of last week's discussion board. Well, you have your paper due at the end of this week on Malfer's audits. And again, just follow the instructions. I'll reattach those to this video, but you're working through 14 different audits. So you're going to have a half page addressing each one of the audits as you took them and your takeaways from that. So at the final page is actually then identifying 2 major focus matters you're going to work on from what you realize through going through these audits. So it's a self-awareness, others awareness, spirit of God awareness, wisdom, growing opportunity through this assignment. So you'll just work through those appendices in Malfer's leader's book to do those 14 audits and then make up a half-page report on each one, total of 7 pages, a 1-page introduction, and then a final concluding page of 2 takeaways you want to especially be apprised and taking action steps of addressing those matters that this assignment surfaced in your life. Now, I want to just briefly talk on Blanchard's book and what he talks about in chapter 4 regarding first the statement of coaching in that chapter, saying it's the most important servant leadership element in helping people accomplish their goals. In my second pastorate back in the 90s, I found this to be a very profitable and very beneficial experience to meet on a regular basis with the different ministry leaders of the church. Every one of them except one was volunteer. And so having that meeting, whether it was every month, I think probably if some were every other month, some were every other week, one was every week, that allowed me to both learn more about them and then especially also to be apprised of what was taking place in that ministry area they were serving in, what needs they have, what support I needed to give them, and bridging other ministry teams with them or coordinating works together in the church to help their work go forward. So that just to share that story, as you go forward in your calling, I think it's going to be very important for you to have that regular time with your different ministry leaders. It allows them to know you appreciate them and you are affirming them by making time for them. And then the opportunities, yes, of applauding them personally as well corporately as you're apprised and again up on what's going on in their ministry areas and what God is doing. And then allowing you to be wiser as far as coordinate the whole church family together to be able to complement one another in their different areas and how that is all together answering why you're there, your purposes, the objectives the church has established. So that, and then he talks about in this chapter about 4 ineffective leader-follower relationships. All I want to say here about what he says on pages 142 and 143, those are heart issues and character matters in all of our lives. I've written down to myself a note recently, and I keep it by my desk. Don't have a judgmental heart focus towards anyone. Excuse me, do not have a judgmental heart toward anyone, but an encouraging heart to affirm them and then direct them as you have opportunity in the responsibilities and the ministries you share with others. So what Blanchard is bringing up here is, yeah, avoiding fear, suspicion, any judgmentalism. Those things just breed, especially what he says, guard against exploitation and manipulation. Again, Howard Hendricks and his addressing Ephesians 4, I remember him saying, verse 7 establishes in Ephesians 4, everyone has a grace gift. And then in verses 11 and 12, it says there are certain serving gifts that are gifted to the body. And those serving gifts are the pastor teachers, the pastor leaders in the local church. So, again, what Jesus called time out twice with the disciples to point them towards, be ready to wash one another's feet. Don't be looking for upper hands in any situation or being noticed in any situation, but be ready to serve and build others up. That's your calling, my calling as a church leader, that we are to be believing in others, um, believe the best and expect the best, to borrow an axiom from Maxwell. And including that again about Maxwell, I want to include in this video asking if you'll go through another 40-minute presentation where he walks through the 5 levels of leadership that will complement what we're looking at through this week and last week's readings and your assignment. How do we help people grow? How do we invest in them, coach them to build them up, and especially help them mentor, coach someone else to someday replace them so they can be freed up to develop more of their character, their gifts, and take on new responsibilities of service in the church, or a broader, to say, influence in the kingdom with their lives. So those are some of the things that are so important, and what Blanchard writes about in chapter 4, as well as what you're working on with Malphurs in your assignment on the audits, is all leading towards that. How can we be wiser in what we take time to meet with our people, know our leaders' situations, their gifts, their strengths, how we can affirm and encourage them, and do that responsible coaching and being supportive and encouraging to them, and how then with that, God is able to orchestrate greater unity in the church as well as greater fruit, his fruit, for Jesus' sake through the church. Thanks, guys. God bless you and have a great week ahead. All right, bye.